It does seem, a hell of a lot of money. I think if we go back to the topic, 150 million for Kane, I don't think they're going to get 150 million. I don't think somebody's going to pay that for one player.
Well, the figure that's been spoken about in the article this morning is 160 million. But Simon, that's what we're led to believe this morning. talkSPORT understands that Manchester City would never pay in the region of 160 million for a single player.
To say that you never would, I mean, if you suddenly go through the gears and you do another broadcast deal and it brings in £10 billion a year, then of course you would, because the landscape shifts. But in the current climate, they should never do it. They should never want to do it, and we should be sitting there going, "That's not something we shouldn't want for our football ecosystem." No. See players being transferred for £160 million. It's just disproportionate. That's what the average Premier League club turns over
annually.
That's what a Championship club turns over in 8 years.
But also, if you take away what the owners have in terms of wealth, and as Simon said, it's huge. But from a footballing perspective, if you're a coach and you're looking at your squad, you use all that money on one player who, like any other player, you could lose for a period of time in that season.
Yeah.
And you are gambling all that money on that one player, not just playing to the levels he's obviously capable of, but staying physically right to do so. Well, why would you? I just wouldn't see that.
But they do, Dan. I mean, Neymar went. Coutinho went. Coutinho went for 100. I mean, Coutinho went for 143 million quid. Are you kidding me?
You can count them on one hand, the stupid ones.
Sure, and they come from the league that accuses the English league of being the worst, i.e. the Spanish league, because Javier Tebas, the head of the league, is always saying, you lot broke the transfer market. It's teams like Man City, and actually it's your lot that created this horrible mess.
As a football man, if I was a coach, it seems illogical. If you're saying to me you've got 150 and you can, I'd rather have 3 or 4 players for that of high quality, who then, you've got different ways of getting them in or using them during the season.
If you're fishing in a pond where there's a print press in the owner's back garden where he prints his own money, right? Yeah. And 150 million to him isn't necessarily overly troublesome, and you get it wrong with 150 million or he falls out of form or he gets injured, you can still go back to him and get some more money out of him.
But I didn't think you and again, more than me on this finance and the finances of how it runs, but financial fair play, which some said it's not where the paper is written on, but it is there and it is relevant to a degree. Yeah. You can't just keep going, give me more.
But you can, Danny.
The way it's going.
You can, Danny, because the problem that people misunderstand is that a player's transfer fee gets capitalised on their balance sheet and depreciated over the player's contract.
No, I understand that.
So if you're losing 30 million quid a year on a 150 million pound player, and that 150 million pound player, alongside a group of other players, adds to the performance of the club, adds to the endorsability, you swallow that 30 million pound depreciation by increased ticket sales or increased penetration in the Champions League or increased commercial merchandise or rebranding your stadium under the auspice of the business that already owns you,
so
and
Simon,
get more money.
Then you can't do 3 times.
We're led to believe, and that's what's coming out this morning. That's our understanding, that City are saying we would never pay 160 million for any single player. What you're saying is, do you know what? Many years from now, you just might.
Yeah, but that's compare and contrast. It's like if you said somebody 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when they built Alan Shearer for 15 million quid, would you find Riyad Mahrez going for 60 million quid? You'd say, what? But that's the timing, isn't it?
Well, 20 years ago, you wouldn't. If you'd have said skateboard in the Olympics, you'd have laughed him out of town, wouldn't you?
Well, this is true. Well, I mean, who's going to, what will somebody end up paying for Erling Haaland? What will someone end up paying for Kylian Mbappe?
Well, it depends who that somebody is.
Yeah.
If it's market-breaking football clubs like PSG, then they'll do whatever the hell they please. And with respect to them, that is their gift, but it shouldn't be the gift of football to facilitate it. And people misunderstood and misunderstand. And a lot of clubs, and I know this is an allegation that Newcastle fans would make, that there's people protecting their own interest, and financial fair play was designed to protect the interest of a cartel of football clubs that supposedly occupy the elite spaces in European football: Juventus, Milan, Madrid, Barcelona, etc., etc., etc. It really isn't. It's also about making sure that the ecosystem can continue to sustain itself, so that people who own football clubs don't have to be billionaires or change their mind when it feels like it and leave a football club in carnage.
Could there ever be a day, do you think, where the amount a club is allowed to spend on one player is capped?
Yes, I do. And I think it should absolutely be capped. But then you'll have the idiot crowd that are self-invested, that have their own intentions, like, Kia Jarapshan or Mia Riola, that will say capping it denies capitalism, it denies the people to want to invest in football. No, it actually stops you from getting extra money. That's where it stops. That's why you don't like it.
But would that have to work in conjunction with the salary cap as well, then? Because obviously you could get away
of course
with,
it would.
It would have to, wouldn't it?
Of course it would.
Well, I mean, the thing is, Simon, we've seen it already. So, I mean, if that's what City are saying this morning, and that's the news, that's our understanding this morning, they're saying we wouldn't pay 160 million for a player.
I don't blame them.
We shouldn't forget, I mean, Neymar went to PSG for 222.
Yeah, but that's the one exception to all others.
Yeah.
That was a bizarre one.
And we may yet see an offensive scenario with Erling Haaland. We may yet see something that defies the realms of real belief, because it isn't just 100 and 220 million. It's the £50 million a year you got to give these Herberts for playing for these football clubs.
Simon, unlike us, you can actually probably get inside the head of somebody like Abramovich. I don't think he would pull out of a bit of something like 150 for Haaland. Even 160, or the right person.
There's a willy waving competition that goes on amongst a lot of owners. So don't be surprised by what they think they need to do to make statements. Don't be surprised about the reality of the comparative wealth from being a multimillionaire like I was when I bought a football club that wouldn't operate as a waiter now by comparison to the billionaires and the nation states. We're talking about people that have £320 billion of worth of cash and assets under their City that don't even have to consider what 150 million quid is. 150 million quid is a round of drinks by comparison to us, right? Now, what the ecosystem's got to do is protect itself. And unfortunately, it doesn't do it very well, because everything comes back to money in the end. And ultimately, if it's not going to control itself and give itself some degree of substance, then it will eventually eat itself, because it cannot go on forever.
No.
It can't continue to expand. You can't have it both ways. You can't have transfer fees going vroom, because salaries follow. Because if you pay £150 million for a footballer, then you're going to have to pay a comparative salary, comparative to the transfer fee that you're paying in the first place.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't put anything past the football industry. And going to Roman Abramovich's point, he just spent last summer £230 million in the absolute. And people say, because he didn't spend anything in the previous transfer window. Yes, he did. He paid for Pulisic, right? But, the idea that he spent £230 million in a COVID-ravaged landscape tells you that it's not beyond the whim and gift of people like Abramovich to go, I don't care, I'm blowing this one out of the water because I want what I want when I want it, and I'm going to pay for it.
I'm going to get it. Like Havertz and Werner. Yeah. Okay, coming up to 11:30.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Thursday morning, 10 till 1. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.